Hi guys, I thought I would record a short blog as I've recently come across an article and thought that I can't write about it at the moment because the website is down, so I thought I'd do a little video about it and just talk about it. Something very interesting I've seen around the web lately. It's a little bit dated. It's an article from October of 2015, and I originally saw this, though it was covered by a large variety of websites, both alternative and mainstream. What I saw, it was actually the Metro. It was the Metro's online site, and they come up in one of the Facebook groups of which I'm a part of. But basically it's a scientific study into end-of-life dreams and visions, which have been very much part of all cultures, or a vast majority of cultures throughout the ages. And I always find it very interesting whenever there's a scientific study into which encroaches upon the spirituality or that sort of side of life then, and that always fascinates me. So I thought I would just do a little bit of a video on the evidence that I've just looked into just by looking at this article, and just really encourage you guys to take a look and add your own views to it and see what you guys think. And I just thought it was it's tremendous when I see these sorts of studies taking place. I'll put a link in the description below. I'm actually going to go and cycle through this as I do it, so excuse me if I am turning away from the camera for a second. It was published in the Journal of Palliative Medicine, and that was around about October of 2015, so around about the same time as the article. I'll put the link in the description below for any of you guys who want to actually take a look. I'll also put a link to the original Metro one in there as well, so just to give a bit of an outline as to how the study was undertaken and as to what was basically summarised. I'm reading through the full study now, so I've just taken some bits and pieces out which I just thought were really interesting. Basically, the study is studying the fact that people have these near-death visions before they die. It can happen up to about a year before it happens. It was a mixed method study, so it was basically a study of willing participants that took place. It was done through hospice. It was done to strict, rigorous criteria. They have to be sound of mind and body, and they had to be willing participants in actually agree to do it and have the state of mind to agree to do it. It was a mix of both open and closed-ended subject matter, and what they were really interested in was the content of the dream, the frequency of the dreams or visions, whether they happened when they were asleep or whether they happened when the person was awake. Now, working as a medium, I've basically experienced both, and I've run into people, especially loved ones in my own life before they've passed. I know that they've experienced these sort of things. I know that they've experienced people calling their names. I know they've experienced seeing people, sometimes in apparition form, mostly it's in the form of a dream or a vision. So I know from personal experience that this does happen, and obviously from just from an academic viewpoint, it has been well documented over the ages. They interviewed 66 patients in hospice care. It was, as I said, it was semi-structured interviews, and the study took place between January 2011 and January 2012. Basically, the final samples were around about 59 people, and most experienced at least one or dream or vision before during the testing period. Almost half of the experiences occurred when asleep, which is quite interesting because that means that half of them occurred when the person was awake or in some sort of daydreaming state. So I just find that really, really interesting. The fact that there was a mixture of both loved ones and friends that were deceased and that are living now, and as the person sort of went down the line, closer towards death, then the visions become more frequently of those that have passed, and just from an observational point of view, whether that is a testimony to the mental or emotional state of the person going through the experience, remains to be seen. It's just the fact that this points to evidence that something is happening, and whatever it is happening is giving these people great comfort. Now, from a personal point of view, and through the amount of evidence gathering processes I've done through paranormal research and through working as a medium, I have seen these happen. I've had my own personal experiences of this. To me, when Jonathan passed away, I could see people stood around his bedside. Now, again, whether that says something about my own psychological state going through a very traumatic event, or whether it's something that actually happens, I'll leave you to make up your own mind on that. To me, my mind is firmly made up, but it's not for me to put my opinion onto you. It's just the fact that this study is really interesting. Dreams of deceased friends, relatives, and pets were the most comforting than those of the living. It basically recommends that there is on the face of it, a very therapeutic value to this process, and it does call for further discussion and further study. I just found this really interesting, that the fact that this was brought up and highlighted, for the simple fact is that the amount of times that I see things, feel things, hear things, and you want, if you're like me, you want something tangible, you want some sort of evidence, that not so it backs up what you're saying, because that, especially when you're giving a reading or whatever, that kind of is given by the person you're giving the reading to. That validation comes from that person. That is not what I'm questioning. What I'm questioning is the fact that is this something that is measurable, and the fact that attempts have been made now to measure this phenomena and to actually see what's happening. I think what we'll find, if there is further studies, we'll gain a greater insight, at least into the psychological mind, that each of us will eventually have to go through, as it's something we'll all in the end have to face, and basically form more evidence as to what the process is, and essentially feed it into more information, as I'm sure many will. There'll be people that will say it's just a mental state, Richard Dawkins, Darren Brown, blah 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 blah, and that'll be it. And fair enough. My personal opinion is I like it when the two kind of ways of thinking meet, and there's a lot in both sides of the way of thinking that I think is just needs a lot to be desired. So personally, I would just give this one a check out. I'll put a link in the description below. Give it a quick check out. I think I know there's quite a large body of text there, so at least you get a good overview and and the different comparisons and things that they did. And also, I'm not sure if the entire study is free, but I know there's a great deal of information which is from source and not from secondary sources such as newspapers, blogs and articles, etc. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more. I'm going to do more videos commenting on these types of things, just giving information and ideas and my own points of view, and just to see where that takes me. So I'll leave that with you guys, and I've lost my mouse arrow, which I continuously do when I do vlogs using my webcam. There he is, he's gone now. Here we are, and I will see you soon for another update. Take care.